it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today I am going to be creating a card with a see-through acetate panel, but to step it up a little bit, I wanted to make that acetate panel a little bit cooler by adding some shaker elements to it. So I'm going to start off here. I have an embossing folder that I want to emboss the front of my card with. This is a pretty plain and simple card, and I just felt like kind of getting in my little craft space and creating, but I didn't want to have to think too much and make it too complicated. So when I only want a partial embossing of the front of my card front, I just put the edge of my top cutting plate where I want the embossing to finish. So when I pull this out here, you can see that there is no embossing down in that bottom portion. Now for the next step here, if you have some coloured paper or cardstock, then you are good to go. However, I'm going to quickly use some Candied Apple, Spiced Marmalade, Mustard Seed, Mowed Lawn and Salty Ocean, which is my go-to rainbow when I am doing using Distress Oxide inks. And if there was another letter to add the purple, I always use Wilted Violet. So those are my kind of 6 rainbow inks in the Distress Oxide range. And I'm just quickly colouring a little piece of scrap cardstock in each one of those colours. And then I have some nice dies here that I am going to use to create the word happy. And obviously I am going to have one letter for each colour. As I said, if you already have some cardstock that is coloured, then that would work well. Or skip the die cutting part of this video altogether and just use some stickers that you have in your stash. So I have gone ahead and cut all of those out. I've got all 5 of my letters ready. Then for the next part, I want to create a little gold border, which is going to hide where my adhesive needs to go for my acetate shaker. So to do this, I'm just going to use some Hero Arts Infinity rectangle dies and some gold mirror cardstock. If you don't already have the mirror cardstock, then you could just use some gold embossing powder. Then once I have that cut out, it's kind of time to assemble. So earlier when I said you could do the partial embossing, you could probably just have skipped that step and then just, because we've cut it off here, and just use a normal piece of paper. But I am lining up, you can see how wide that letter is. I have it sitting there because I want the little acetate window to be the perfect same height as the letters. So I have cut off 2 pieces. One will go back onto the bottom, and then that space in between is where the acetate will go. Now I'm going to pop on my border first because that kind of is where I'm going to line everything up behind that so that everything is hidden. So there is some Stick It double-sided adhesive on the back of this gold mirror cardstock, and I'm going to pull back the adhesive for just the little top flap. Remember that the card has the bottom cut off it at the moment, so I don't want to release all of the paper on the back of the gold cardstock. And you can see it's just going to sit there for the minute. And then working from the inside of the card, I have put down a piece of double-sided tape so it's nice and strong. I am adding on a piece of acetate which is 4 1/4 inches wide, and it doesn't really matter how long it is because we're going to be adding the piece of white cardstock to be the same as 5 1/2 inches tall. So it doesn't matter how much overlap there is because we will hide it all. Now remember I said I just want to step it up a tiny little bit, and I'm going to make this kind of acetate bit a shaker part. So I am adding some double-sided tape on top of that acetate and behind the gold frame. So this is going on to kind of the back of the acetate, the inside of the card. And then I'm just going to attach the bottom piece here because I need to know where the bottom is going to sit so that I can just line everything up. I don't think I'm explaining this the best way possible, but anyway, I think as you kind of go along, you'll figure it out as well. So you can see my acetate is not attached there at the moment, and I need to pop this bottom panel on. So I'm going to take off the sticky double-sided tape and then pop it on. This is kind of the top side of the card, which I have popped it there. And now I can take off the rest of the release paper from the gold mirror cardstock, and that is my frame on the front complete. So now to create the shaker bit, we put those bits of double-sided tape there just before, so there's kind of 3 sides there, and then I'm going to put the 4th side on, but I'm just going to peel back a tiny little corner, and this will help me be able to close the little shaker portion. So I have another piece of acetate the same size, and remember all of those 3 sides are sticky there. So the gold frame is hiding where my double-sided adhesive is. Then I'm just going to pop in some really nice flat stars and a little bit of silver glitter. Now a little bit goes a long way because remember that this is a very flat shaker card. So it doesn't shake a whole lot, but it does move around nicely, and that's all I really want for this. If you want to skip all of this and not make it a shaker portion at all, then that is obviously just a nice simple piece of acetate sandwiched in between the top and the bottom bits of cardstock, and you also don't need the gold frame as well, because the gold frame is there to hide the adhesive going down the sides of the acetate, which holds in our little shaker elements. Now this part here is nice and simple. I'm just covering up all of those acetate and adhesive bits from the back. So this is the inside of the card. I've just measured the same size as those two panels, and I've popped a nice thin piece of white cardstock there just to hide that from the inside. This is actually a really kind of plain and simple card, and as I said, I was just having fun creating today. If you guys end up doing something similar, either the version with the shaker panel in the middle or without that panel, then I would love to see it, and a good place to do that is my Facebook group, which I have a link to down in the description box below. I will link to as many products and things that I can find. I know it can be frustrating when some things have been discontinued, but I will do my best to link to as many things that I can find down in the description box as well. And other than that, I am just adhering on the letters. I've spaced them out nice and evenly, and I stamped the word birthday there in some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then it's a really nice happy birthday card with a little bit of a silver sparkly shaker behind it. So thank you so much for joining me today. As I said, I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, bye.